Yes. Welcome aboard, cosmonauts. This is the weekend, and this is Cosmic Vinyl time. I am your live wire host, Cosmic Brian. Jesus. Here's what we're listening to right here. And I'll explain why I chose that here. But okay, so this video is kind of a bittersweet video for me, and probably for a lot of people. But we lost a friggin' one of the most legendary rock and roll artists and one of the most influential artists of all time, right? I mean, I think we can all agree on that Ozzy Osbourne is one of the most well-known, most famous, and infamous rockers that ever graced us with their presence, right? Graced us? It's the Prince of Darkness! Jesus. But, yeah, we lost Ozzy this week. I'm sure you're all aware of that. And I'm sure, like me, you were absolutely friggin' caught off guard, stunned, shocked. All those words to describe being totally gobsmacked, because 2 weeks ago I watched him on stage, and he even in his with his health issues, he still was up there giving it his all, sounding great, and all these other guys that had ever played with him and all these guys that were influenced by him got up and played. It was a kick-ass concert. I either listened to it or watched it all, and it was fantastic. And it just goes to show how respected Ozzy was, and just how amazing he was, and how much he meant to all of us, right? Rockers and non-rockers, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I didn't really want to do like an Ozzy tribute video, because I just felt like I would be jumping on someone else's misfortune. I would be taking advantage of that by doing a video and hoping to get a bunch of views and subs, be one of the first ones out there to get it up and loaded, and I just decided, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. But I did have me and the Perch, the fish man, the editor, and co-conspirator at Cosmic Vinyl, we had a conversation, and we thought, well, why not give our props to Ozzy, and then maybe explore some of the guys that had the privilege and the honor to play with Ozzy, either in Sabbath or in his solo stuff, right? I thought, you know what, that's a good idea, man. We'll give our honor to the Prince of Darkness, the Ozman, and we'll still kind of give some props to some of the guys that played with him. And so that's what we're going to do. And I didn't pick this because these guys played with him, but they did go on tour with him. And probably one of the most infamous and most debauched tours ever. And I mean, I'm sure you've all heard the story about him and Nikki Sixx licking up each other's piss and snorting ants and all kinds of shit, right? So, yeah, I chose the Motley for the intro, but we're going to talk about 7 guys or musicians who had the honor to play with Ozzy. And I got to give you another disclaimer. I don't want this to sound like a smear campaign against the Osbournes, especially Ozzy, because I feel like Ozzy was like totally sold into performing. He loved his fans. I loved the guys he worked with. But on the other hand, he hated the management part of it, the business part of it, right? And that was left up to Sharon and I'm sure a management team. And they weren't always easy to get along with, as being a musician that played with Ozzy. So anyway, without further ado, let's get this thing started. We'll talk about some guys that played with Ozzy. I think it'll be fun. So, got my koozie rocking here, the Cosmic Brian, Cosmic Vinyl. Here's what we're rocking today, man. Felt like something really refreshing, went with the Blue Moon, kind of a citrusy orange flavor. Oh boy, it's good on a hot day, man. And it is too hot to even go outside today. So, all right, you guys, I'm giving you your heads up right now. Get your guards up. Here we go. Woo! Yeah! All right, man. Let's toast to Ozzy. Long live the Prince of Darkness. Rest in peace, brother. Man, this one really hurt. I'm not kidding. But yeah, let's hoist it up and toss it back, my friends. Here we go.
Oh, yes, yes, my good friend, of course.
Ooh. Oh, God. So friggin' good. All right, let me get these off. Get the mind shields off. Get the purple specs on. We're off to the races. There we go. How do I look? All right, let's do this. Jesus Christ. Ah! Look at that cool thing I found at a flea market. Pretty wild, huh? All right. So let's get right into it here. So the obvious one to start with would be Randy Rhoads, right? Who we also lost way, way ahead of his time. Just an absolute maestro on the guitar, right? I'm not going to talk a little too much about Randy because everything that needs to be said has been said. And man, I got this album here. Fuck, this is so badass, man. And this come up again. But yeah, man, Randy Rhoads was basically an influence on all the guitarists that played with Ozzy after that, man. So, all right. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on him, but I do want to start with Jake E. Lee, who took Randy Rhoads' place as a permanent fixture in Ozzy, right? So Jake E. Lee, he played in Ozzy's solo band from 1982 to 1987. He was actually recommended by Slaughter and Vinnie Vincent Invasion bassist and songwriter Dana Strum, who told him, hey man, you should try out for this guitarist position. Ozzy's doing auditions, right? So Jake goes down, he does his auditions, and it comes down to two guys, Jake E. Lee and Dawkins George Lynch. And to be honest, man, I was listening to some George Lynch, some Dawkins stuff the other day, and I thought, Jesus, in my mind, I thought, God, George Lynch would have been a good fit for Ozzy, I think, and I didn't even realize that he actually was in the running for it. And he actually got picked. He was the guy that got the job, right? Then at the last minute, Ozzy changed his mind and wanted to give the job to Jake, right? So Jakey gets the job, but Ozzy tells him, if you want the job, you got to go and fire George Lynch. Jesus Christ. That's kind of a shitty thing to do, but I guess rumor has it that's the story, how the story went. So Jake is in, right? So Jake first played on this album right here. It's kind of the cover is a little beat. I've had this for years and years and years, and this survived a lot of heavy metal vomit parties back in the day. But yeah, man, Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon. He also composed a lot of the music for this, and that's wherein lies the rub, right? He, when he first signed on to be in the band, he had to sign off any claim to any songwriting credits or royalties for the album. And he also had to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement that he would not talk about it, like to the press or whatever. So he was young. He was in Ozzy's band. He had no legal representation. He signed the document, right? So, of course, later on, when he did bring it up, there began this legal ballyhoo, right? And it was him and Sharon butting heads, right? So, but anyway, he also played on this record, The Ultimate Sin. What a great cover, by the way. Again, another one that's made it through the years, man. I don't know how. This has probably had more joints and speed snorted off it. But anyway, this time he made sure to get in writing that he would get credit for his contributions to the record. So, and eventually he was out of the band, right? But he did move on to be in this friggin' band. I don't have the vinyl, but this is Badlands. And there's Jake right there, Jakey. And this is fantastic, man. I don't know if you guys have listened to this, but this is a kick-ass rock and roll album. 1989 on Atlantic Records. Oh, and also I should mention this guy right here. That's Eric Singer, who became the drummer for Kiss, man. I wish these guys would have stayed together because they were a great band. So that's Jakey Lee. So now the next two guys I'm going to talk about together because they both kind of have the same story and the same history playing with Ozzy. So I'm talking about Lee Kerslake and Bob Daisley. They both were founding members of Ozzy's solo band when he after he left Sabbath, right? They played on Blizzard of Oz. Another one that I'm telling you, this one has seen better days. And I'm so surprised that the records actually still play. They play pretty good too. So yeah, you've got Blizzard of Oz that they played on. And you've got Diary of a Madman, right? Again, thing is, if you look in the liner notes on both of these albums, you will not see any credit given to them at all on those albums. And they did a lot of the songwriting, and they did a lot of the music. They wrote a lot of the music. So again, they were denied their songwriting credits, royalties, publishing rights, the whole works, right? So let's start with Lee Kerslake, man. He was in a decades-long legal battle with the Osbourne team and Sharon. In fact, in 2002, the reissues of both of those albums came out, and they had replaced Lee Kerslake and Bob Daisley's contribution to the record with the bass playing of Robert Trujillo from Metallica and Mike Bordin from Faith No More. Two guys who I could talk about as well. Well, at least I could talk about Mike Bordin. He played with Ozzy for a long time. Played on a lot of his later albums as well. But those guys were, they didn't get their fair shake, and they were two founding members of the band, right? And I guess that's just the music biz. It's a dog-eat-dog business. But anyway, so then there was more reissues in 2011, and their parts were replaced. They were placed again back on the albums due to fan outcry. So yeah, Lee Kerslake and Bob Daisley, two guys that were there from the beginning, right? And none of them have anything bad to say about Ozzy. They do have a lot of shit to say about management, though. So, but yeah, Kerslake and actually Kerslake and Daisley both went on to play in Uriah Heep. Kerslake is definitely on this record here. Oh, you guys want the full effect, don't you? All right, I'll give you the full effect. There it is. Fantastic. And Kerslake also played in The Gods on the Genesis album, which is fucking fantastic, by the way. And he also played in Toe Fat on the Toe Fat 2 album. And I thought they both played on this, but I think only Lee Kerslake played on this. Head Machine, Orgasm. If you guys like early 70s proto-metal, post-psych, hard rock, hard and heavy stuff, check out this Orgasm album by Head Machine. Fan-fucking-tastic, man. Great record. And Daisley also played, and then Bob Daisley played on Rainbow's album here. I think that might be Cozy Powell, who I want to say he either played in Sabbath. I think he played in Sabbath, maybe with Ozzy. I can never remember. But yeah, Daisley played on this. This is a fantastic record. There's the gate there. Killer album, by the way. Of course, then you got Ronnie Dio, who took over the frontman duties from Black Sabbath when Ozzy left. So, yeah, so there's Kerslake and Daisley, two guys that were there from the beginning. And now moving along to like one of my favorites to talk about, because this story is incredible. And I'm talking about Brad Gillis. Brad Gillis, who you know probably best for being one of the guitarists for Night Ranger. along with Kelly Kagi. They were a duo guitar attack on Night Ranger. And Brad Gillis wasn't the first guy to replace Randy Rhoads on the Diary of a Madman tour. It was Bernie Torme, who I'm not going to talk about too much, but Bernie Torme didn't work out because his sound was more of a bluesy kind of sound, and they wanted a more edgy hard rock sound. So Bernie filled in a few shows, and then he was out, and that's where Brad Gillis came in. So Brad Gillis came in. He learned all the songs, all Randy Rhoads parts in 3 to 4 days. Now, he not only had to learn the full set list, but he had to learn the solo stuff and the Sabbath stuff that they did live, right? So, incredible display of adapting. And then he also added his own kind of sound to it, too, so it's fantastic. I mean, that is just so impressive to me that he had to learn all that. And if you watch any of the live footage of Brad Gillis, he kills it. I mean, he gets out there and totally goes for it. You know, Ozzy was still reeling from the Randy Rhoads' death, and you know, he wasn't in a good way. He was drinking a lot, doing a lot of drugs, and he kind of took it out on the new guy, Brad Gillis, sometimes. And you know, Brad fulfilled his obligation on the tour, and then left the band. Of course, went back to Night Ranger. So Brad had a pretty great career. There's Brad Gillis right there. He's also on the back there. I'll just show another one here. Night Ranger Dawn Patrol. There's Brad. Brad had this like weird like 8-fingered crawl where he'd go up and down the neck. It's just fantastic. And he Brad Gillis also played on this record right here. This is We're Stars, Hearing Aid, which is like a charity metal. All the metal guys from the 80s got together and did this charity, kind of on the same as like a Live Aid kind of a thing, only heavy metal. And there are so many guys that played on this. And Brad Gillis was one of the best solos on here, in my opinion. And God, this is a great record. This is a single. And there's a couple other guys that I'm going to talk about here that were on this as well. You can also hear Brad on this album here, Speak of the Devil, which is all Sabbath covers played live. But there's Brad Gillis right there, man. Just absolutely amazing. You want to see a killer gatefold? Look at that. Look at the Ozman. Fucking great, man. So good. Now, another guy that played with Ozzy from the beginning, it was Tommy Aldridge. Tommy Aldridge played from kind of from the beginning. He played with Ozzy from 81 to 83, and then he took a break. And then he joined again and played like from 84 to 85. But he joined Ozzy, I think, prior to the Diary of a Madman tour. And he's credited on the Diary of a Madman album as playing on the album, but he didn't play a note on that record, by the way. In fact, I think his picture is also on here. Yeah, there's Tommy Aldridge right there. And God, what a kick-ass drummer, by the way, man. That guy is slamming. I caught a clip of him on Instagram. He has this huge kit, and he still looks like he's in great shape. He's still got the hair, man, the fucking hair. And he sounds absolutely killer. I think you can also hear him on this record as well. I'm pretty sure he played on this record as well. So then you got Tommy Aldridge, right? And Tommy Aldridge is one of the most powerful drummers. He's got that huge double bass sound that he's famous for, and just sounds great. And he also played for Black Oak, Arkansas. I'll give you a great picture of Tommy Aldridge. He's in the kind of rust-colored shirt there. And that afro right there, that's a 9 to 9.5, man. That kicks ass. This is a band here, Black Oak, gets zero love in the vinyl community. I've heard like the old Goat Man talk about him before, and those guys love him. Here's another record that he played on. There's Tommy right there, kicking ass, taking names. And he also, Jesus Christ, Tommy Aldridge also played on this as well. So, yeah, fucking killer, man. Tommy Aldridge, let's hear it. God, he looks great, plays great. The next guy I want to talk about is Rudy Sarzo. Rudy Sarzo was close friends with Randy Rhoads. They both played in Quiet Riot, in the early days of Quiet Riot. And Rudy actually was the touring bassist with Ozzy from 81 to 82. And he's also pictured on the insert of Diary of a Madman. But never played a note on the record. Jesus Christ. I just find that amazing. But yeah, he was a touring bassist. Of course, Bob Daisley did play on the bass parts on that album. So, and also he can be heard on both the tribute and I think and on the Speak of the Devil album as well. And and Rudy was on this as well, the Hearing Aid event. So, yeah, man, and he always seemed to get. Rudy's a hell of a nice guy. He gets along with everybody, right? So. But I'll just show you some other stuff Rudy played on. Quiet Riot's first album, Metal Health. There's Rudy. Good looking guy, man. And he also played on this Quiet Riot album here, Condition Critical. There's old Rudy right there, looking good. And while he didn't play on this White Snake album, in fact, the touring band, the band that toured this album, none of those guys played on it. David Coverdale fired everybody from that played on the studio album, and then replaced them with I think it was Vivian Campbell on guitar and oh fuck, what's that guy's name? Vandenberg was the other guitarist. Rudy Sarzo on bass and Tommy Aldridge on drums. So Tommy also played on this, or not on this, but he played on the tour. Rudy didn't have any problem. He had a good career. So last guy I'm going to talk about is also one of my favorites, is Carmine Appice. Some people say Appice, I say Appice. I've heard it pronounced both ways. But Carmine Appice is a legendary rock drummer. Goes all the way back to the 60s with this stuff with Vanilla Fudge. He played with Ozzy in late 83 to 84 on the Bark at the Moon tour, right? And I believe he was also in the Bark at the Moon music video, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure to that. I could almost say with certainty that he played on that video, but did not play on the record. He had a bit of a contentious relationship with Sharon Osbourne as well. Her words were that he had a powerful stage presence, and she thought that he upstaged Ozzy. So, Carmine was gone. But Carmine had a great career, man. No, don't worry about Carmine Appice. I'll just show some stuff he played on. One of my favorite things he played on was this Vanilla Fudge album. Look at young Carmine Appice there. No facial hair, looking so young. And then, of course, he played on this hard rock banger here, Cactus. What? Jesus Christ. There's King Carmine right there, man. Looking hippie dippy. This is a cool album, man. Nice, solid. Of course, he played on this too. Beck, Bogert, and Appice. Another great record. There he is on the drums there. Also played a long time with Rod Stewart. In fact, if you look at the Hot Legs video, you'll see Carmine Appice in that video as well. God, this is my favorite Rod Stewart album. Love this. Kicks ass. But then Carmine kind of reinvented himself and joined the hair band, the 80s hair band thing. He played with King Cobra, and you can probably spot him here as he's the only guy with dark hair. And I remember seeing these guys open for Kiss, and he had King Carmine on his bass drum. But yeah, look at that, it's fantastic. He also played in this band that doesn't get a lot of love, and that's Blue Murder with John Sykes from Whitesnake. And there's Carmine giving us this Prince look there. Jesus, even the mustache, Jesus. All right, so that's it, man. 7 guys who had the honor and the privilege of playing with Ozzy Osbourne through the years. And I just want to say, man, this Ozzy is going to be so missed, man. He's one of those legends that I thought would be around forever, man. I think we all did. So, but now he can rest in peace. He's not in pain anymore, man. I'm gobsmacked, man. I'm just thrown for a loop. But anyway, man, I love you guys, man. Keep listening to your Sabbath and your Ozzy stuff, man. It just kicks so much ass, and it was so influential on so many levels. So yeah, let's see you guys out with a toast. You guys toss it back one more time for Ozman and the guys who played with him. All right, stay cool, stay cosmic. I'll catch you guys next time. I'm gonna drive this fucker right out of here.